What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in.
You know, something very shocking / good happened at the Clippers game. We all know that the Clippers definitely missed Patrick Beverley in so many ways. He was a good locker room guy. And on top of that, he was one of their leaders on defense. And, you know, I always say defense wins championships. So if you're going to give up players like that, you better well get somebody in return that can do just as good as them or better. And I personally believe Patrick Beverley wants to come back to the Clippers. And when you think about that, it's definitely a possibility that it could happen. You know, maybe not this year or something like that, but it's definitely a possibility. I know he did sign that contract, you know, with the 1 year with Minnesota, but I mean, he definitely was a surprise to see him there. And I know the Clippers were surprised by this. They had to be. And, you know, when you look at it from a standpoint of, you know, how the team is now, they're doing really good. They're doing really good. And you have to commend them for that. But at the same time, I think they would be a little bit better if they had Patrick Beverley. And I just, you know, I stand by my statements. You heard me say it over and over again. Certain players you just don't trade. And I understand Patrick Beverley could be wild at times and all those things. But listen to the comments. Like Ty Lue was asked about this situation. And he said, we were surprised, but we miss him so much. And then you had some of the players like Terrence Mann, I believe, saying that, you know, he was a good locker room guy, you know, always pushed him. And Zubac saying he was one of his like favorite people, you know what I'm saying, in the locker room in regards to how close they were. They was really, really close. They was really tight. You see what I'm saying? And it's like when you lose certain players like that, I'm telling you, you're losing a championship caliber type defensive player. Now, of course, Patrick Beverley's never won a championship, so I don't want nobody to confuse that. But at the same time, the defense that he can play when he is engaged, it's pretty good. And like I said, what we saw him do last year against Devin Booker, one of the premier scorers in the NBA right now. I mean, can't nobody stop Devin Booker, but Patrick Beverley did. And Patrick Beverley not only got in his head, but he literally shut Devin Booker down. And this is what I'm talking about. When you have a player who can do something like that, who plays defense to that type of level, who can, you know, kind of play the role of a Dennis Rodman type player where he can get in your head and play great defense on you, which that's what Dennis Rodman was like phenomenal at. That's what Patrick Beverley is phenomenal at. And what he did to Devin Booker last year in that playoffs allowed the Clippers to go 6 games with the Phoenix Suns. They wouldn't have won 6 games if he didn't do that to Devin Booker. I promise you, it would have went 5 games at the most, maybe 4, because the Phoenix Suns, they won the first 2. So, I mean, you know, you got to look at things like that. And with him coming to the game, supporting the Clippers, wearing a Clippers jersey and everything like that, and just being like their number one like cheerleader, sort of say, it was very surprising to the Clippers. But at the same time, you know, they was really happy. They was all for it. They really were. And I mean, the reception was good in regards to Patrick Beverley. It wasn't a bad one. It wasn't awkward. Well, maybe a little awkward, but it wasn't bad at all. And when you think about that, you know, right now, they definitely could use a player like him. They really could, you know what I'm saying? And of course, they can't get him right now, of course, or anything like that. I don't know if they ever get him back. But, you know, honestly, when I said before, you know, a player like him with the Clippers right now, they would be not much better, but they would be a little bit better because you know what you're getting out of Patrick Beverley every single night. He's going to give you 110%. And honestly, he just fits with the Clippers. You know, he doesn't even really fit with the Timberwolves. And when you look at Patrick Beverley, he doesn't really fit with any other team. Like, I don't care what other team you put him on. He really doesn't fit with any other team except being in a Clippers jersey. That just fits his whole MO, him as a person, everything about him, his game, how he reacts, how he acts, everything. It just fits him. And I just feel like, you know, for some reason, the Clippers, you know, they need to find a way to get him back for some reason. I don't know why. That just might be a hunch of mine. It might just be me speaking on, you know, because I like Patrick Beverley a lot, but still, I feel like they can definitely they definitely can use a player like him. I mean, because they have some young players here that are stepping up and playing well, but playing that type of defense on a player like Devin Booker is just not easy. And I can tell you, a defensive player that plays that type of playoff level defensive basketball is hard to find. And I don't believe the Clippers have anybody on their roster that can play that type of defense except Kawhi and PG. But that's what I'm saying. You can't expect everything out of them all the time because they got to do all the scoring. So they do need other guys to plug in and play defense as well. And if they have to play the Phoenix Suns again, who gonna stop Devin Booker this time? You don't have Patrick Beverley. There's nobody that can really stop him. I mean, you can put Terrence Mann on him, but I don't know if that's going to be good enough because I think he can, cook Terrence Mann. So that means you would have to put Kawhi or PG on him if both of them are there. And now that takes a little bit away from their offense, which, of course, the Clippers still would be able to beat them, I believe, if they had Kawhi Leonard. But I'm just saying, having pieces like a Patrick Beverley never hurts. I mean, especially when you know what he can do and you know what he's going to give you every single night. And for one thing, he always was, reliable in doing that when he was out there. Now, of course, he did start having some health issues a little bit here and there. So I definitely understand that. But it was just definitely a good situation to see him out there cheering on his favorite team, the team he'd rather be with, and the team he ultimately wants to go back to. And I think that was just his sign of letting the Clippers know, hey, I want to come back to the team. I want to be back a part of this, because even like Terrence Mann was saying in the interview that he had after in regards when he was asked questions about it, like he's a part of the culture. Patrick Beverley is a part of the culture. And, when you have players in the locker room saying things like that about a player, that tells you what type of impact he had on a lot of players in there. And I can tell you, to me, when I look at the Clippers, some nights they don't even look right without Patrick Beverley on there, because he's just supposed to be there. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. Like, he's just supposed to be on the Clippers. Now, if, they traded Serge Ibaka, that's one thing. I didn't like that either, but Patrick Beverley is supposed to be on the Clippers. That's just common sense. That's just the team he's supposed to play for until he retires or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like in order for them to win a championship, they need a player like him. And I don't know if they're going to get that out of Terrence Mann or any one of the other guys on the bench. I don't know if they're going to get that type of gameplay. I mean, Patrick Beverley has gotten a little bit better with his three-point shot over time, and with him being able to defend like that, and especially with a player like Devin Booker, it just says a lot about the type of guy he is and what type of impact he can have on the floor, not only just in the locker room. So it's like, you take a player like him out of the locker room, a lot changes. It really does. And a lot of people don't see it. They don't, understand it. But, I definitely feel like Patrick Beverley is going to find his way back to the Clippers at some point. Like I said, I know he signed this 1-year deal with Minnesota, but I think that's about to come to an end soon. I think after this year, I think it's pretty much done for him. And I think he'll find his way back into a Clippers locker room. That's just my belief, because, like I said, even Ty Lue saying that we miss him a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? That says a lot about what type of guy he was in the locker room, what type of presence he had, and how people in the locker room respected him. And like I said, when you have players like that, you got to understand that you don't let go of players like that unless you can fully replace them. And the Clippers replacing him with Eric Bledsoe was a mishap, a mistake. It was trash. It was garbage. And so was he. And that's just the facts. We don't have to really sit here and go back and forth over it. He was trash. He didn't even make a whole season with the Clippers because he really just isn't that good. He really doesn't fit. And he has moments where he's good, but that's pretty much been the staple throughout his career, having moments. But we don't need moments. We need a lot of moments. We need consistency. I mean, hell, Marcus Morris has good moments. But the reason why people complain about Marcus Morris is because of the inconsistency. Hell, Paul George has a lot of great moments. But the reason why a lot of people were calling him Pandemic P and all this stuff before he erased some of that last season was because of his inconsistency. And that's exactly why I said letting go of Patrick Beverley and bringing in Eric Bledsoe was a huge mistake by the Clippers. Huge mistake. I mean, he didn't even make a whole season with the Clippers. So what does that tell you? It was a mishap. It was garbage. It was a dumb mistake. It was a dumb idea. And the Clippers, hey, it is what it is, but at least Patrick Beverley is showing that he still cares about the guys, care about the team, and, everything like that. And it's crazy because, it's funny. It could end up a scenario where they actually play the Minnesota Timberwolves, or something like that. I mean, hypothetically, possibly it could. But I don't see it happening, but it's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely good to see that Patrick Beverley's still supporting the guys, and it's definitely good to see they still supporting him, you know what I'm saying, and definitely love him and definitely embraced him when he was there. And I definitely could see a reunion coming soon, maybe after this year, going the next year, who knows. But like I said, I mean, it's definitely hard looking at the Clippers sometime without him on there, because to me, he's just one of those players that should always be in a Clippers jersey and no other jersey in the NBA. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Khaliis out.